Okay, so in this video, we'll show you guys how to install and manage Windows Server 2012 with Active Directory, DNS, and DHCP configurations inside that. Also, we have some steps to follow through this video as well. It's quite a lot of steps to get everything configured. So just for the sake of following scripts for it. So we'll leave that on the side. We try to make this video as quick as possible. So it's not going to be that long. Just for the environment, I have a VirtualBox set up with a Windows Server 2012 evaluation version. Also, I have a client running with a Windows 10 server. Sorry, Windows 10 evaluation business, or it's a business version of it. Otherwise, you cannot set the client to connect the client to the server if it's not a business version. So also another thing that needs to be done is to configure. You need to make sure that you have the settings here, and you have both of the machines into the network options, into the bridge adapter. So both of them has to be in the same bridge adapter. Otherwise, they're not going to be communicating with themselves. So that could be an issue if you not change this option. All right. So I have both of them already running, just to speed things up. So now going back to my server, right? So I have already installed my Active Directory management. So the way, just to make things, of course, a bit quicker, otherwise it's going to take quite a while to get installed. So to install that, you're just going to manage, you go into add roles and features, and then just go next, next, and then next again. And then here you just choose what you want to install. So in this case, you want to install the Active Directory, the DHCP, and the DNS server configurations, right? So then just go, you hit next, and then you keep going to the end, install it, and that should be that simple, right? So then after you install that, you go back here. So the first configuration that we need to do, so going back to our steps, so we installed that already, and then now we need to add the new forest domain. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I go back here to Active Directory server, and then you can see now it's requiring for more configuration. So if you click in more, you can see it's asking for you to promote this server to a domain controller, because we need to create a new one. So in this case, you're gonna choose the option add a new forest, and then the domain is gonna be my name here, .com. Has to be .com, otherwise it's not gonna work. So here you hit next, and it's gonna create a new forest for you. Yep. So now you're just gonna put a password. Any password is fine. Just gonna put a basic password for your domain controller. So with this password, after you're gonna use it to add new users and all of that. Here you just hit next. The net BIOS domain name will be the same. They're gonna give you a standard BIOS to be used, so you're gonna leave as it is. Go. So hit next. Yep. So now you just hit next again. That's for the backup. And here in next. The installation itself is the configuration actually is pretty straightforward for this part of it. You just hit next until the end of it, and then you install it. So it's just confirming what you want to install. So wait for the installation. And after you do that, we're gonna configure our IP, the IP of our server. So we're gonna wait for this to be finished. And it usually doesn't take that long, but because I'm running two machines at the same time, it might be the case. So you can see now it's configuring everything automatically for us. So yeah, so after you do that, so it's saying that it needs to be, my machine needs to be restored. So you go close, but before we do that, because you're gonna have to restart anyway, because you're gonna be changed this. There you go. It just does for you anyway. You don't have much choice with it. It shouldn't take that long. Okay, so in this video, we'll show you guys how to install and manage Windows Server 2012 with Active Directory, DNS, and DHCP configurations inside that. Also, I will have some steps to follow through this video as well. It's quite a lot of steps to get everything configured. So just for the sake of following scripts for it. So we'll leave that on side. We try to make this video as quick as possible. So it's not gonna be that long. Just for the environment, I have a VirtualBox set up with a Windows Server 2012 um, evaluation version. Also, I have a client running with a Windows 10 server. Sorry, Windows 10 evaluation business, or is a business. It's a business version of it. Otherwise, you cannot set the client to connect the client to the server if it's not a business version. So also another thing that needs to be done is to configure, you need to make sure that you have the settings here and you have both of the machines into the network options, into the bridge adapter. So both of them has to be in the same bridge adapter, otherwise they're not going to be communicating with themselves. So that could be an issue if you not change this option. All right. So I have both of them already running, just to speed things up. So now going back to my server, right? So I have already installed my Active Directory management. So the way, just to make things, of course, a bit quicker, otherwise it's going to take quite a while to get installed. So to install that, you just go into Manage, you go into Add Roles and Features, and then you just go Next, Next, and then Next again, and then here you just choose what you want to install. So in this case, you want to install the Active Directory, the DHCP, and the DNS server configurations, right? So then just go, you hit next, and then you keep going to the end, install it, and that should be that simple, right? So then after you install that, you go back here. So the first configuration that we need to do, so going back to our steps, so we installed that already, and then now we need to add the new forest domain. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I go back here to Active Directory server, and then you can see now is requiring for more configuration. So if you click in more, you can see it's asking for you to promote this server to a domain controller, because we need to create a new one. So in this case, you're gonna choose the option add a new forest, and then the domain is gonna be my name here, .com. Has to be .com, otherwise it's not gonna work. So here you hit next, and it's going to create a new forest for you. Yep. So now you're just gonna put a password. Any password is fine. Just gonna put a basic password for your domain controller. So with this password, after you're gonna use it to add new users and all of that. Here you just hit next. The NetBIOS domain name will be the same. They're gonna give you a standard BIOS to be used, so you're gonna leave as it is. Go. So hit next. Yep. So now we just hit next again. That's for the backup. And here in next, the installation itself is the configuration actually is pretty straightforward for this part of it. You just hit next until the end of it, and then you install it. So it's just confirming what you want to install. So wait for the installation. And after you do that, we're gonna configure our IP, the IP of our server. So we're gonna wait for this to be finished. It usually doesn't take that long, but because I'm running two machines at the same time, it might be the case. So you can see now it's configuring everything automatically for us. So yeah, so after you do that, so it's saying that it needs to be, my machine needs to be restarted. So you go close. But before we do that, because you're gonna have to restart anyway, because you're gonna be changed this. There you go. It just does for you anyway. You don't have much choice. Right? It shouldn't take that long. I might just get this machine off so we have a little bit more memory. There you go. So this video is basically I'm doing this video because of my assessment that I have to do. So that's why, just to make it easier, so you can follow along the process that I did to install all of these and configure. God, it's taking so long. It's probably taking longer than usual because it's configuring all of the, is activating all of the configuration that we just did before. I will try to maybe cut this part if I can, otherwise I will just maybe leave as it is. It doesn't really matter. You guys can skip up if you want to. I'm gonna try to put some timestamps on my video so you guys can follow along. Yeah, there you go. We're back finally. So just put that insert confirm. You know, let's put this password going here. So you can see now it's already on my domain. I forgot to mention that. So you can see that that's my name. That so, which means that the domain is configured successfully. So that's fine. So now for my next step, we need to actually configure the IP for the server, and then also the DNS as well. So the way to do this, you just go into Open Networking Share Center. You can go straight into that, and then maybe you can go to Change Adapter Settings. And you go here, go to Properties, and then because you're not using IPv6, so I'm just gonna disable that guy, so you make it easier. And then you go to Properties. So in my case, I will be using a specific IP, but I mean, whoever is watching this video, there will be different IPs. So in my case, there will be 172.19.1 for my server, and then the subnet mask gonna be 255.255.224. And then for the gateway, it's gonna be it. This IP is the one that I was giving through my assessment. That's why I'm using that one. And then from the DNS, there will be same as my server. So we want to use as a primary DNS our server itself, and then as an alternative DNS, we're gonna use our router in case we have a router. So that's going to be my secondary DNS. So after you do that, just double check if everything's fine, and then you go on OK, you close, and that should apply your, so it's applying your new configurations, right? So this one you can close now, close this guy too, and now for the next step, we're going to configure the DHCP. So the machines that are joining this domain, they can get an IP automatically, so they don't have to, you don't have to go into each of them and then just put static IPs. So then in this way they can communicate with themselves. So in this way you go to DHCP and then you go to tools, DHCP, and then when you're getting that, let's maximize this to make it easier. So we can come a bit on the side. And then you open up, you can see now we have IPv4. And then you need, you see that it's disabled at the moment. So you need to add a new scope, which will be with the right click button, you go into new scope, and then you hit next. So that's going to be just a description of the scope, which could be anything. It could be like, maybe like, let's put just basic scope. That's what we have. And then now it's going to be the range of address that you want to distribute. So in this case, I will give from 172.19, which is in the same network, 29. And then let's start from 4. And then from here, let's do 172.19. And then it's going to be the end of it, right? To 30, maybe. Okay, and then for the mask, let's do same mask. So 24, right? And yes, that's good. So then you go next. So this is if you want to exclude any IP address. We don't want to exclude any, so we just go next. And then here you can give like a duration of this lease for IP. We're just going to leave as a basic one. And then he's asking if you want to configure this option or to make it available. So yes, we want to. And then for the router, we're going to give a DNS as the same one like we did before. So 172.19.29.2. Okay. So that's going to be the same DNS as before. So you can see now I have my primary DNS and my secondary DNS, which is my router. So everything looks good. So we just hit next now. And then here, so yeah, we're now going to use this wings thing. And then you want to activate this now. So you finish. Yeah, that's pretty good. So now you can see that my scope is there. And then if you go into address pool, you can see the address that are available for distribution. But still, for some reason, it's not working because you can see that it's offline. So he is asking you to authorize this. Let's see. So you have to go in action, I believe. There's like some weird thing that I have to authorize now. So you go manage authorized service, maybe. I don't really remember now. You no. Maybe actions. Yeah. Authorize, yes. So you click on that and you're going to authorize. And that should work. Let's see if it's maybe taking the time. We'll refresh. Yes, so you see now it's green. So yeah, now it's active and you can see that's working, right? So yeah, that's basically my configuration of DHCP. So next step will be to, so that's what we did. So we put a default gateway there, and yeah. So now let's configure our DNS. So we're done with DHCP. Close that guy. Go to DNS, and then you go to Tools, DNS. Open that up. Let's make it expand a little bit to make it easier for us. So you open up the server, you go into forward lookup zones, open it up, and then you can see my domain there. So they have already some DNS already configured. So let's create 5 of them, which is my requirement for my assignment. So to create them, you go into new host, And then let's add a printer. Let's add like this printer. And then what's going to be the IP address on my printer is going to be 172.19.29.20. So let me maybe copy this just to make it easier for the other ones. So yep. So add a host. The host is created. Let's add another one. So let's add a copy if you have a I don't know, copy or something. So it's the one is exactly the same process. It's created as well. Let's add for the phone. You have a phone with IP. So we do this is going to be 22. And now let's add for the fax. And you're going to 23. And now let's add one just to get the fifth one going. Let's put test. Okay. So then you go 24 for this guy. So you go add host, you're good. It's very, very easy, very straightforward as well. So you can see all the IPs that I gave, like specific for these guys, DNS, and you can test that later in my client machine. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to go to the client machine and you're going to try to see if you can see these guys in the network. So we can close the DNS now. We can leave this guy open. We go back to our virtual box and then we run the client machine. Hopefully it's not going to take that long. Let me minimize this guy. So minimize this one too. So we have a little bit more. Yeah. So we went. Yeah, we went almost halfway through. So it shouldn't take that long now. So now basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna test if our client machine can actually get the DHCP, his own IP address from the DHCP address that we have available from our server. So let's see if everything went well, he will probably be able to get this IP going here already. So let's see. Okay, so we are on it. So if you go up here and then you put cmd command prompt, then if you do ipconfig, yeah, that didn't work. Well, I just realized what was my issue before. It was, say again, is VirtualBox. If you're not configured well, that could basically give you some future issues, like we did again. Like, so what happened was, if you go into view here, sorry, machine and settings, and then you go into network, my adapter was actually using this Realtek, which is my onboard controller, instead of using Intel Wi-Fi, which is my Wi-Fi that I'm using at the moment. So my server was using this guy here, and this client machine was using a different one. So that's why you couldn't communicate themselves. But that's basically the only change that I did from before. And now if I do IP config, you can see that automatically it gets an IP address from my range that I was giving into my DHCPs. And then also it communicates with my domain, right? So that's good. So it means that it's working. So now if you do a ping to, let's do ping test, which was one of the DNS that we configured before. So yeah, of course it's giving, the host is unreachable because that machine is not actually on, but we send the packets and receive all of them. So if even if you do like ping to the server, they can see each other in the network. Okay, so we have DNS configured. So the client machine is looking to the DNS. We did the test from the client as well. So now we're gonna add the clients to the domain. So it's actually looking to our domain already. However, it's not in a specific group domain. So to change this, we're gonna go to advanced system settings. Yeah, that's right. So go computer name. Yeah, and then you go to network ID. And then, yes, this computer is part of a business network. So you go next. My company is a network with a domain. Yes, because we have a domain created. So we go next, and then to add that to the domain from the client PC, what you can do is so you can add a username, which in this case, my username I believe is administrator from my server, and then the password of my domain and the domain name, which is philippewolf.com. Let's see if that will work. If not, yeah. And then type the computer name and the computer domain name. So that's going to be my computer name. And then the computer domain name is going to be philippewolf.com again. It says that we cannot find this guy there. So we go next. And then type the name and password of account with permission to join the domain. So the username again is going to be administrator, and then the password that we always have, and then the domain that's going to be my domain name again. Let's see if that works. So you want to add the following domain user account to the user domain. Yes, that's what I do. And then we're gonna have an yeah, standard accounts, fine. And then we must restart to apply this change. So let's restart and see if that works, right? So you go here, and then you go settings. Oh shit, no, sorry. You go here, and you go power, and then you go restart, of course. So let's restart it. And I have fingers crossed that it's gonna work. So now we are adding this guy to a to our domain, for a user domain. So now if you go here into our server management, all right, and then we go to our Active Directory users and computers, we can see, we're probably gonna see now, let me just start this guy. So you can see now that the user actually changed to administrator, and you can log in as a password. So it's gonna actually set up a new environment based on whatever permissions that we have from our Windows server. So coming back to our Windows server, while that one is being set up. So if you go here now, that's my domain, and then you open up, and then you go to users. You can see you have a type of user, which is this one is what I am using at the moment. So that's how I actually set up from the client machine. I actually set up and got inside of my user domain, right? What we're gonna see now is how to set up users from the Windows Server management, which is basically the the beauty of using a Windows Server. So then we don't have to go inside of each client machine and join them to a new domain, new group or new user. So you can do everything from here, and that's what we're gonna do now. So after we're doing that, we can create a new group for the user with specific permissions, or you can just create a user and then just give permissions on the fly. All right. So in this case here, let's see if you can. So clicking users, we go into new group. So let's do a group name of, I don't know, test maybe. So yeah, so this one we just leave it like this, and then I will have a test group, right? So now inside of this test group, let's see if you can, if you double click on that. No, sorry, actually, yeah, no, actually I have to create a new user as well. So let's create a new user. So we go new user. So the username is gonna be client, and then that's the next name test. So it's gonna be client test, and the logo name is gonna be this client test. Let's do, yeah, client client test. That's fine. So I'm adding a new user for this domain, and then let's create a password for this guy. Yeah, I'm just gonna do the same password for all of them. So you, then you can see now you can also specify if you want the user to change the password on the next logon, which for this test purpose we don't want to do that, but in the real life, yeah, you better do that. So then we don't have the credentials of the passwords stored into our server. Oh no, it's a match really. So let's do it again. There you go. So that should do it. Yeah. So yep, that's right. So now we have also a user. So let's try to add that user to my group. So to do that, we go here. Let's see, and then we go to members, add a member, and then if you just uh, start typing here, so let's say I think it was client, right? And then you go check names, you can see that he finds that already, and then you click hit OK, and then you apply. Okay. So now inside of this group, I have the user of the user that we just created, right? And then also this group can be member of another group. So if you have like different groups and you want to insert a group inside of another group, you can do that too. Okay. So and then the way to do to test this, what you have to do. So we have our user client test created, and now we have in a group. So the way to do that, so we just go back to a client machine, which is back into already, so it's fresh again, a new installation. So if you go here and go to IP config, we can see what we have. Let's see, it's still in the same, exactly the same domain. So let's restart this machine and see if you can log in now with the different user. So if you go to restart, and then see if you can log in with a different user, the user that we just created. And then yeah, of course, with the group created, we can just give like whatever permissions you want for that specific group. So if you say, oh, you know, the users inside of that group cannot access specific folders or whatever you want to specify that you want to access, you can do. So let's log in with another user. So the user is going to be client test, and then we hitting our password. Let's see if it works. Yeah, so let's see. So it recognized already our user client test, and it's setting up again a brand new Windows for this user. Yeah, so it's pretty easy. It's actually really, really cool. The power that we can do with this Windows servers Active Directory, and then that's how you're gonna administrate your real environment, your real network. Okay. Right. So we create a group, and then we add these users to the group. Now let's configure a web server for our Windows server as well. So to do that, just see if this recording, please. Yeah, it is. So to do that, so we can close this guy here now. We don't need anymore. So we're gonna actually add a new feature, right? So which is a web server. So we go again to manage, add roles and features, hit next, next. We hit next again, and then now we're gonna actually add. Let's find here web server IIS. So we do add features, so we hit next, next again, and then that should be pretty straightforward. And I believe you wouldn't take that long as well. Okay, and then after that, we will actually, for this test purpose, I just create like a basic website, which I have already here into my C folder, my C directory. So I have here, so inside, I have like a really basic website. We can see, just for literally for the test purpose only, which you're gonna have to use that one. So yes, so our installation is already done. We close that up, and then now they have this guy IIS running. We can configure that, but before we doing that, we need to actually add a new IP address for this website server. And then to do that, you just go back to our network settings. We go here into the adapter properties. We go into IPv4 again, properties, and then we go to advanced. So here we're gonna add one more IP address, right? Which is gonna be, in our case, 172.19. Sorry, 29. It's gonna be our IP address for the web server, and then the submask is gonna be the same, 25, 24. All right. So, and then so then that's added. So the default gateway stays like this, and then we just hit OK. So now we have a different IP address as well. So this is gonna refresh, and then after adding that, we're gonna go to, let me see. Oh yeah. So that's already be. So now we're gonna go back to our IIS configuration manager. So if you go into tools, let's find him here, Internet Information Service Manager. We open that up, and then we go up here. We're gonna find our server. So it's already there. And then I believe now you go into, let me see, yeah, I believe you're going to add website now. Yes. So the site name is gonna be let's put site, and then the physical path will be my C site, so that should be able to find it up. And then for my IP address, that will be the IP that we configured that before, which will be this guy here, right? Port still 80, and host name, let's do philippewolf.com again. All right, so that's going to be the host name of the website, and then we mark that to start website immediately. Okay, so we can see now that my site is there. So this one that I just created, and then after doing that, you're gonna have to go to our DNS to add the DNS specifically for this guy. So you're going to again to DNS, you go to tools, DNS. We open up the four lookup zones, go into our domain, and then here we're going to create a new host, which in this case will be www, and then the IP address for this guy is going to be 172.19.29. Let's give maybe 10 for that. Okay. So you can see now it recognized my website already. So it's right here. Now we're gonna have to go back to the information internet management service. We go back there, and then we need to go here, and what is that? No, I don't want this. And then you go into directory browsing, and you have to hit, let me see if you need to open up. Yeah, so you have to hit that one, and then you go enable. So now, yeah, so now that should be working. So our web server should work. So what happened is, if we go to our client machine, which is this guy right here, so let's get into it. and we open our browser, we should be able now to see my website running, right? Oh no, is it really doing this? Yeah, because it's a fresh installation, so hopefully that shouldn't be too long. Okay, cool. How can I skip this? Can I skip you? No? Okay, yeah, there you go. Nice. So if I go here now and I hit philipwolf.com, I should be able to see my website. And there you go. So we can see that our web server is working just fine. And then same if I hit the IP that I have, so oops, if I go CMD, then if I hit my ping 172.19.29.10, that's what we give to that one. Yeah, we should be able to reach our packets to that guy. Yeah, see that all of them were sent and received, so no losses. And yeah, so if you have a website, you can host that into a web server or an FTP server or any kind of web server. Okay, pretty cool. So I believe that's the end of it. So just a quick recap: we did all of these steps through. So I changed the computer name, we install Active Directory, and then we also configure DNS, DHCP. We add a new domain to our server. We configure the IP network properties, and yeah, we did a lot of stuff actually. That was quite a lot of steps. Okay, cool. Thank you so much.